it's tough to talk about this game with present company. Jacqueline, cover your ears. The Gators suffering their second straight loss on Saturday. This at the hands of LSU, a game that they weren't favored to win, but probably had a chance to, if not for 5 interceptions from DJ Lagway. But onwards and upwards, because they got a pretty big game coming up. Florida at number 4 Miami. So to help us break this down, we bring in Chip Patterson and Danny Kanell. And let's start with the head coach, because that's where every conversation starts with the Gators, it seems like. We saw our first coach firings yesterday. Billy Napier has been pretty much living on the hot seat for the better part of a year. Chip, where do things stand now?
A matter of not if, but when, Emily, and the decisions about when to move on is going to come down to a weekly assessment of whether or not this locker room is still bought in to fight for Billy Napier. I think the fact that we have such a daunting schedule might end up helping Billy Napier in that you want to be able to show to your alumni, you want to be able to show to everybody that loves that football program that as long as the team is still fighting for the coach, we're not going to send them out there and just get absolutely obliterated, because as you mentioned, this Florida team did continue to get back up off the mat. This Florida team did continue to throw punches all the way until the end. It's just they could not get out of their own way. But it is very difficult for me to see a future where Billy Napier is the head coach for the start of the 2026 season. So at this point, it's just a matter of when does it become an issue for the university where they feel like the product on the field is not representative of what everyone wants it to be.
Yeah, to your point, Chip, like, let's say you lose to Miami. Do you want to have an interim coach out there going against Texas at home? It's like, good luck if they lose that game. Do you want to do it on the road against Texas A&M? Like, pick your spot in this schedule. There's never really a breather where you could say, all right, let's have a winnable game. The only thing I will say is this, is keep watching the team. I've always been a believer in that. Like, is the team fighting for their coach? And I know you mentioned that, Chip. And I thought some of the coaches that were fired, it was very clear that the team had thrown in the towel on their coaches, both at Virginia Tech and UCLA. So as long as Florida is still fighting and their team is playing hard and they're giving great effort, I think Billy Napier will survive, as long as that's the case. And I also think they might win some games if that's the case, if they can get DJ Lagway corrected, because I thought they played well enough to win at a lot of positions except quarterback, which obviously is the most important position on the field. But I think they're still playing pretty hard for Billy Napier, but it is something to keep an eye on, because it could get so toxic around Gainesville that coming back for a home game could just get so uncomfortable if the crowd is booing and you have planes flying over that say fire Billy Napier. You don't want that type of toxic atmosphere either. So let's let this thing play out and let's see if they can win a couple games and buy him some more time. But it sure does feel like it's inevitable that he's not there for 2026.
You mentioned a big if they can get DJ Lagway back on track. It's very easy for my dumb football brain to say 5 interceptions, bad. Danny, you have a smart football brain. What's off about DJ Lagway?
Everything. I mean, he's really it's such a confidence game. I mean, it really is. When you talk about quarterbacks, I think 80% of it is confidence. The other 15 is like, do you know the system? And then the 5% is just let your athletic ability take over. But he did, I will remind people, and we talked a bit about this on the pregame show, Emily, he did miss an entire offseason. He didn't play this spring. He missed a lot of training camp. I don't think he was out there because he wasn't able to get a lot of reps this entire summer as he's rehabbing his shoulder and his calf and other issues. I still don't think he has a great feel for his teammates, for the system, for the wide receivers that he's working with. And you combine that, so you're already sort of out of whack coming in with, without missing a lot of time. Then you're having a banged up body, which is probably still on the mend. And then you start to crumble and crater as far as confidence goes. And that's your perfect storm for a 5 interception game. I mean, it was really, some of those were inexplicable. And that's Billy Napier's job, is to be able to coach him and talk them out of those. And you don't want him to clam up and all of a sudden become check down Charlie. But clearly he is not helping his team win football games. So he's got to play his way out of it. Bottom line, I would show him some highlight tape, show him his best plays that he's made at the University of Florida, remind him of who he can be. and sort of try to build that confidence up slowly and surely and run the football for him as well. Sorry, Chip, I just rambled forever, but it is a big problem for the Gators.
Yeah, the QB has something to say about quarterback play. That's why I asked you the question. Chip will have a chance to answer this one because we have to talk about the team on the other side of things. So Florida just lost to the number 3 team in the nation. Now they have the number 4 team in the nation waiting for them in Miami. The Canes, they have 2 ranked wins already, and we have our 2 ACC alum here. So, Chip, who is the best team in the ACC?
Oh, I think that's Miami. I think that the Miami Hurricanes have entered this season with one of the most talented rosters and one that you would put up against the Clemson Tigers. But now with the way that Clemson has not been able to translate talent into performance, now the Miami Hurricanes step into that role. And I think that what they've done that's been so key is they've been able to hit on some of their offseason changes. They got quarterback right with Carson Beck. They seem to have really solidified their defense with not only the hire defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman, but also with some of their transfer portal additions in the secondary and on the defensive line. And the thing that I love the most, Emily, is the way that they handled their business with USF in town, because we know that USF has been giant killers and they were just budding with confidence. And Miami was absolutely surgical. 6 possessions the first 6 times they touched the ball. 4 of them got to the end zone. It wasn't anything that was fluky. It wasn't anything that was overwhelming. They just marched right down the field, and when they got scoring opportunities, they punched them in. They backed that up with defensive stops. This is just a team that looks the part. Because, Emily, not every top 5 or top 10 team looks like a top 5 or top 10 team right now, but the Miami Hurricanes certainly look like that. So I will go with Mario Cristobal's team. If we're just throwing out some power rankings, I've got Miami as my number 1 team in the ACC.
Now, you see a younger version of myself, Emily, might get upset about this and, but make my case for Florida State. But the best part about that is we're going to get these 2 teams square off in just a couple weeks. So I can go ahead and give Miami their flowers. I will say this, and it's a team that's not even named Miami or Florida State. Georgia Tech is already in the driver's seat with a win already over Clemson and a schedule which is easier than Miami's or Florida State's, who still have pretty tough challenges ahead of them. Georgia Tech might be that team that you feel the best about getting to Charlotte for the ACC championship game, but Miami does look the part, and I get it, and it makes sense. I think even still there's some Florida State fans who are like, yeah, we beat Bama, but can you sustain that after just winning 2 games last year? There's still a little bit of doubt that creeps in. You want to see it against better competition, which I totally understand. And Miami has dominated up front in the trenches. Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor have been absolutely terrorizing opposing quarterbacks. And if they continue to do that, it could be a long night for every quarterback that they play this season. But I can't wait to see these 2 square off, because we're about to find out who the better team is between Miami and Florida State. Not that far off.
Miami has a chance to win like the Florida State championship because they played USF. They've got the Gators this weekend and then Florida State the following weekend. So no debate will have to happen in the state. Chip, Carson Beck, we got to talk about him because he's having a renaissance year so far to start for Miami. And we kind of had a debate in the office today asking who is the best college quarterback right now. There were a lot of votes for Carson Beck. How far off is that?
I don't think it's far off at all. I mean, right now he's number 1 in the country in completion percentage. He's top 10 in the country in terms of passer efficiency. He has done such a phenomenal job of the work that happened before he could throw. Because remember, we are talking about someone who underwent surgery on their throwing arm in the offseason, was not able to be a full participant in spring practice. And all the times that I've heard quarterbacks say that, no, they're putting in work in the film room, they're working with the coaches. I'm sorry, I'm going to need to see it before I believe it. But this time, it really feels like it works because he came in and he seems to have a total grasp and understanding of Shannon Dawson's offense, where the ball needs to go, what decisions need to be made, reading a defense, and all of the experience that comes from his extended time as a starter against quality competition, first in Georgia and now against Miami. Yeah, it is allowing him to stand out as one of the best, if not the best quarterback in all of college football. And the way that he was able to pick this up, the mental advantage that he is showing right now, that probably leads to another conversation, because if I'm an NFL general manager and I'm looking across college football, do you know who looks pro ready right now? Quarterback number 11 at Miami.
There were a lot of guys who had first-round projections this offseason. I think he's the only one that maybe was lower on that list that is actually playing like it. But I'll look at something completely different that is not statistically related or how he's looked out in the farthest field as far as when he's playing. It's when he's not playing. He has been the emotional leader for this Miami Hurricane team, and that was where I questioned him the most. I was wondering if he could fill in the shoes for Cam Ward, who was very clearly like the Pied Piper who was leading the Miami Hurricanes. He's taken over that mantle. He was fiery on the sidelines after that rain delay, getting his team back up, playing with a chip on his shoulder. I've been blown away with the leadership that Carson Beck has displayed down there in Coral Gables. He is absolutely playing as good as anybody in the country right now.
Danny, who wins this game?
I think Miami does. Until I see Florida, kind of turn things around, I'm going to go with Miami getting it done at home. That place is going to be electric. The Hurricane fan base. Hopefully there's not a rain delay. It's raining right now. It rains every dang day here in South Florida. Hopefully there's no weather delays. I know it's a later kick. That maybe will solve it. But I do think Florida's going to be with their hands full. Miami's defense, I think, will be able to shut down DJ Lagway and company. And Carson Beck has used to play against these SEC defenses. I think Miami wins.
Chip?
Yeah, let me go with a little Miami 28, Florida 13. I think that Miami jumps out in front early and then is able to nurse this thing away by grounding and pounding and taking care of the football.
All right, guys, thank you so much. If you want more of their analysis, you know where to find it. The Cover 3 podcast you can watch on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Apparently, Danny has a Lagway comparison that ruffled some feathers here at the desk, so you got to listen to
I'm all listening.
Listen to this episode.